Today, we're going to be looking at one of the craziest and most controversial case studies in AI SEO, and that is the SEO Heist from Jake Ward. Now, if you haven't seen this already, it got over 6 million views on Twitter recently, and the case study itself is absolutely insane. You might have seen as well that some people didn't react so well to it. It was very, very controversial, very polarizing. But that is one of the most interesting things about this case study. So today we're going to be talking about whether it's good, whether it's bad, which website it affected, and whether actually Google slapped it. Because the website involved in this SEO heist, where an apparent 3.6 million traffic has been stolen from a competitor, has actually taken a big hit. So we'll come on to that in a second. So this was a case study on the website causal.app, and you can see that its traffic actually grew to a massive 586,000 traffic per month, which is pretty impressive. But if we look over the last year, you can also see the traffic is falling pretty dramatically. So in this case study site, the so-called SEO heist, the traffic hit a peak of 586,000 in October. That's dropped down to 516,000 organic traffic in November, and it's on a trajectory that's basically falling off a cliff, as you can see. But we'll come on to the reasons why that might be in a second. And first of all, what we're going to talk about is the actual process involved. So basically, it's worked in 3 simple steps, right? Export a competitor's sitemap, turn their list of URLs into article titles, and then create 1,800 articles from those titles of the competitor at scale using AI. So it's basically like reverse engineering what's working for the competitors, get a bunch of content ideas based on that, and then generate the content. And this is not really that new or special. I mean, if you look at any of the case studies that we do pretty much every single day, SEO is a very, very repeatable and predictable process, which is you look at what's ranking on the first page of Google, you reverse engineer that, and then you create content at scale. And this reverse engineering process with SEO repeats pretty much every single place you can find. So, for example, for link building, you would reverse engineer who's linked to your competitors and reach out to them too and ask them for a backlink. It's a very normal practice. I mean, for example, if you were doing this on Ahrefs and you were trying to scrape a website like mine to see, okay, how many backlinks and who can I get backlinks from in the SEO industry, then you would essentially look at all the websites that have linked to my site, build up a list of prospects, filter them down, get rid of the spammy stuff, and then build backlinks using that process. That's very normal in the SEO industry. And I'll come on to where to draw the line in a second in terms of ethics. But then it's the same for SEO outlines. So, for example, if you use a tool like Phrase.io, Neuron Writer for creating content, then essentially the way that this works is that you analyze your competitors and you see what they're doing, and then you create your content based on that. Now, obviously, if you're going to use this process when you're reverse engineering your competitors, you're not going to create the same content as them. That wouldn't make any sense. And even if you wanted to, it wouldn't help your rankings because you're just duplicating the same content as everyone else. But when you reverse engineer your competitors, it's easy to figure out, okay, what's the best word length to cover? What titles does Google like in its content? How should I structure the page and all the headings and images, etc. on the page? And I don't think there's a problem with that. But I think you do have to be careful where you draw the line. So, for example, if you're stealing content from other competitors, number one, it's not going to help your rankings because Google's going to recognize that and then you're going to get punished for duplicate content. Same for copying images, right? If you copy images from other sites, then that can lead you into all sorts of copyright issues. And again, ideally, you want your own form of content. So if you look at juliangoldie.com, you'll find that most of the articles just have videos that I've created myself inside the content. And I think that makes you look unique as well. It's not just about reverse engineering your competitors, but also figuring out, okay, how can you add a unique twist to your articles so that you can rank higher? Then the final thing I would say is you've got to draw a line between reverse engineering your competitors, which is a smart strategy, because then you can figure out what Google likes. And if you figure out what Google likes, you can compose your article and your content in a way that makes you unique and makes you stand out. But if you're just getting lazy and you're just literally copying exactly the same tactics and strategies as your competitors, that's where you're going to be in issues because not only ethically is that a problem, but also if you didn't build the system, then you're not going to know how to fix it when it breaks, whereas your competitors will. And what you'll see from the whole SEO industry this year is that it's just constant game of iteration and adaptation, right? No one can stand still because there's all these new tools, technologies, prompts, workflows. The whole SEO game has completely changed this year. But if you get lazy and you're just copying your competitors, then you're not going to know how to fix things when they break because you didn't build the system. And that's why I'm so transparent with everything that I do in this channel, because if someone copies me, it's totally fine. Like, it's not a big issue. I know how to adapt, learn quickly. And really, what I'm teaching on this channel is all about the philosophy of SEO, not just the tactics and the day to day weeds and the day to day stuff where you're in the trenches, but also the systems and the SOPs and the processes so that you can see how to build your own and then how to implement those and create your own systems, right? So when it comes to reverse engineering your competitors, I would never exactly copy a competitor's sitemap. I think that's taking it a bit too far. But you should definitely look at your competitors if you want to know how to rank. Because if they're doing better than you, then chances are they know something that you don't. And we can all learn from our competitors, right? Now, if you want to see an interesting take on the ethics of the whole process, I would highly recommend Nathan Gotch's video right here. Very, very good. I'll link to it in the description. But basically, this whole process of reverse engineering your competitors is very normal. What's quite interesting though is like some people are saying he's become the most hated person on Twitter. So you see this post from Anthony Garn. So for example, like you can see in this post right here. And interestingly, if you check out causal.app, the actual case study website, you'll see there's only 100 results on Google right now, which is quite interesting. I don't know if some of the pages have been removed or de-indexed or something like that, but essentially the traffic has dropped massively since this has been released. And there's a lot of talk about how this case study website might have been slapped by Google because potentially they're embarrassing Google and might have received a manual action penalty directly from them. No one knows. But that is quite strange because they created 1,800 articles from their competitor's sitemap. But then when you check Google, there's only 100 pages. Now, sometimes that's not always accurate, but that's a massive gap, right? 1,700 different pages missing. And if we check the rankings for the website, you can see that the traffic is declining massively. So it might be that they had some sort of penalty from Google. No one knows. Charles Float also talked about this on Twitter too. If you're not on Twitter and you're an SEO, you got to be on there. You got to be part of this conversation. It's fascinating, all the drama. But we all know about Kyle Roof and his lorem ipsum experiment where Kyle was ranking with lorem ipsum, no value, no content. The case study blew up and then Google slapped it. And it seems like the same thing might have happened with causal.app as well. One thing that I would say though, is it is quite impressive to get to that level. And if this is just a case study website that they don't really care about, then it's quite impressive to get to that level. So fair play to them. And what I'd also say is like with SEO experiments, if it's just a case study that you don't care about, then sometimes you do have to test things to the point of failure. So for example, if you check out this conversation between me and Kyle Roof, we talk a lot about some of his case study experiments that got wiped out and how he doesn't recommend those strategies. But sometimes the experiments that fail the most are also the ones where you learn the most too. And if you're constantly learning SEO, that's how you become better at what you do, right? The other thing that I would say, and most people have not really mentioned this, is whether it's ethically wrong or right, etc., is the fact that it's actually a really good marketing experiment. So, for example, Jake, he owns Byword. Byword is a way to generate AI articles at scale with one click. So you can just plug in your keyword here, create content, uses ChatGPT 4, and basically the whole case study promotes his AI tool. So it's really, really smart what he's done here because it's a great way to market your business. Wrong or right, sometimes you do have to create polarizing content that triggers people response and to cut through the noise. So for example, like the two biggest pieces of news in the SEO industry this year, or recently anyway, have been the fact that there's been this case study right here. This blew up on Twitter, got nearly 7 million views, which is very unusual for a tweet about SEO. And then also the Verge's article on the people who ruined the internet. Now, why is that? Because wrong or right, ethically bad or not, these are all just marketing ploys to cut through the noise and to polarize people so that you get an emotional reaction. If you get an emotional reaction, then your content blows up and you get more business, right? And money typically follows attention. So if you can polarize people with articles like this or posts like this, then technically you're winning when it comes to marketing because you're attracting attention, which leads to more customers, more sales, etc. In the same way that when people are scrolling through the first page of Google and they're trying to find an answer to their problem, they're going to click on the result that attracts the most attention. So how do you attract the most attention? Well, one way to do it is with polarizing negative clickbait that cuts through the noise and attracts a lot of attention. And a post like this is a very, very good example of that. But of course, you're going to get some people who are not happy with that. And that's totally fine. Like everyone's entitled to their opinion. In the same way that you can create a really boring piece of content, like for example, the best backlinks for SEO and science of a valuable link, which is not that interesting, not that clickbait, etc., which only gets like 150 views on the video, right? Because it's not interesting, doesn't polarize at all. Whereas if you look at probably my top performing video recently, as ridiculous as it is, creating 54 SEO sites and 30,000 posts in 57 days. And I even say in that video, this is not the way to do SEO. It blows up. It gets a lot of attention simply because this is something polarizing. And I think we can all learn from that because the internet is so noisy that if you want to get more traffic and attention and more clicks to your website, then you have to polarize in a way that creates an emotional reaction, whether that's good or bad. And I'm not saying that's the best way to market your business, but it's just what's worked for us so far. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get a free course with loads of SOPs, templates, prompts, etc. on ChatGPT and SEO, then feel free to get my free course. It's in the comments below. It has over 100 AI SEO tutorials. And if you do want to book in a call about how to get more leads, traffic, and sales from SEO, feel free to book in a call. Link is here. And we'll basically give you a free link building acceleration session and teach you how to grow your business with SEO. So thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.